morning, everyone. You've tuned into ET now. This is the first edition of Market Fatafat. It's 11:30 on your clock. The time to watch the most comprehensive market wrap that promises to spot the hottest movers in the stock market. Over the next 30 minutes, we will take you through the top buzzers and spot where the big trends are emerging. Joining us right now on the show are Kunal Bothra, Himen Kapadia, as well as Soumya Sharma from the research desk. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming on board. Let's get started with stock number one, Sterlite Technologies, which is on a tear today. Soumya, tell us what's the trigger.
Well, yes, this is one stock that's gained really smartly since morning in trade today after, as promised, the promoters have removed or released the pledge on 100% of shares owned by them with immediate effect, and that's the reason we're seeing the stock gaining by over 10.75% today in trade, trading at around 192.35 rupees per share.
Okay, there's also, the management commentary which we got earlier on in the day. We interacted, and as indicated post the Q4 result, promoter pledge on shares has been removed and commendably before the committed time of July. Sterlite Technology Group CFO Anupam Jindal says there is a complete unlikely scenario that the pledge shares will ever come out in the open market. He also believes that the release of the pledge indicates commitment towards the company. Listen into a slice of that conversation.
We have been maintaining that there is a complete unlikely scenario that the shares will ever come to the market. We have right from beginning maintained that the structure of the pledge, which was done by the promoters, was with global banks in a very watertight kind of a structure where it was supposed to be tested on quarterly basis based on weighted average price. I think the promoters have renegotiated the terms of security with the lenders, and while I'm not fully privy to what they have done, but according to our understanding, they have renegotiated the overall security cover where instead of market price, the security of their other listed entities or other businesses will be calculated based on intrinsic value. And therefore, they are more than sufficiently covered even without Sterlite Tech security.
Okay, let's move right on from one buzzing stock to another. Hero MotoCorp is another stock that's been moving up very smartly of late. Kunal, tell us, what are you observing and what are the levels to watch out for?
So if you remember, Karnya, I think we discussed this stock even yesterday in the same segment, and I mentioned that how Hero MotoCorp in terms of chart potential looks extremely ripe for a trend-changing move. The stock has taken multi-month supports closer to that 2600 mark. There have been renewed supports on the short-term charts, which is now or new demands which is emerging when the stock comes back to that 2700 level. And I believe that now the stock should be poised for a breakout above this 200 moving average. So whether you are a short-term trader or a positional trader, I think you just have to try and pick the time frame which is apt for you. I believe Hero MotoCorp could be a good buy even from a short-term targets. I would place a target of 2860, 2870 on the stock price, and if you're a slightly positional trader, a target of 3000 plus could be highly possible.
All right, that's Hero MotoCorp for you. It's up and away in trade once again, higher by more than nearly 1% actually. But on the flip side, there's Indiabulls Real Estate, which is bleeding in trade. And Himen, tell us what to expect.
Well, Karanya, frankly speaking, the stock is in a shorter term correction. In fact, even the daily mechanical indicators have signaled a sell. So one would be cautious, and I have a feeling that a further decline seems to be on the cards. So we've been down for 3 trading sessions from 144 to 116. So anticipating a small recovery, it's a sell on bounce.
Okay. So that's IB Real Estate for you. Another stock that you need to keep on your radar is Indiabulls Housing Finance. Soumya, what's the development there?
Yes, starting with first, the company has refuted charges of misappropriation of around 98,000 crore by its chairman Sameer Gehlot and other directors, saying that the allegations are bizarre and is meant to malign the reputation of the company. Apart from this, what the company has also told the agencies is that the company has no loans outstanding with the Reliance ADAG and its units. In fact, loans to DLF are under normal course of business, and there have been no funds outstanding to AmeriCorp or any of its group companies. But the stock still is tanking by over 5.95% today in trade.
Oh yes, definitely 6% gone for Indiabulls Housing Finance despite the management's attempts to assuage concerns and sort of refute all the allegations. Meanwhile, let's move on to stock number 6, Kunal. Grasim Industries, tell us what are you observing on the charts?
So in technical terms, there's a term which is called as golden crossover, where the 50-day moving average rises above and breaks the 200-day moving average. Now that's generally a phenomena where you see the short-term trend riding up much more steeper as compared to the longer-term trends. Look at the chart patterns for Grasim over the last 2 to 3 months as well. The stock has gradually moved up higher. It's shown a lot of traction on the upside, a pattern of higher highs and higher lows, and now a confirmation of this golden crossover. So all in all, I think it just about indicates that the stock should restart a new trend for itself. Short-term targets could be placed closer to 925 if you're a short-term trader on Grasim.
Well, there you have it. Grasim also looking fairly good in trade, up 0.6%. Not a very high quantum of up move, but yes, definitely in the green. Moving right on to Bharti Airtel, then another stock. Look at that, trading at the day's highest point, and it did actually briefly fall lower in trade, and there is a bit of a corporate development there, which is not so positive. The company will be paying the government of Tanzania close to $26 million. This is a sum that they will be paying over the next 5 years in order to settle an ownership dispute. Now, if you go back a little, you might pay attention to the fact that part of a deal in which Bharti agreed to reduce its stake in January in Airtel Tanzania to 51%, which boosted the state's ownership to 49%. Now, the government inquiry in 2018 ruled that the privatization of Tanzania Telecommunications Corp in 2005 was illegal. However, Airtel is saying that the way they have acquired the company is completely abiding by the Tanzanian law. But as part of the settlement overall, this is the sum they have to pay, $26.2 million. And that's something that's keeping the stock of Airtel in focus as well in trade. Next up, stock number 8, Radico Khaitan, another name that's under pressure today. Hemen, tell us why.
Well, it remains weak, Karunya. We are in the midst of a short, medium, long-term downtrend. You look at the daily, weekly, monthly, whatever time frame, we continue to post lower tops, lower bottoms. So the way I look at it, it's a sell.
All right. Stock number 9 then, DHFL once again in focus. Soumya, what's the update?
Well, this is some respite coming for the bond investors. The company has made a repayment of 45 crore of interest and principal on NCDs due yesterday. In fact, apart from this, the company is also in focus for completing the transaction and transfer of 9.15% of stake in Aadhar Housing Finance to Blackstone Group. With this, they've sold their entire stake to Blackstone, and the promoters would be exiting fully from that company. DHFL would be receiving close to about 500 crore from this transaction, which will be used to reduce the level of debt on their books. However, the stock's tanking today, off from the day's high. In fact, it opened in green and right now is trading in red.
Oh yes, it's down, in fact, more than 1.5% in trade. Let's move right on to another stock, that's Intellect Design Arena, and that's in focus. It's down by about 0.5%. Kunal, what are you spotting as far as the chart patterns are concerned, and what's your sense of this particular counter?
So, on one hand, we've been talking of how the Nifty IT space has been doing extremely well. It's been bucking the trend when you have, lack of sectoral participation. But, the concentration is more on the large cap names. But now on the mid cap front as well, I think Intellect Design is, looking extremely strong. Look at the last 6 months of this chart pattern. From 2019 start, the stock made a low which was at 160 levels. So from 162 to almost 260 levels plus at current juncture, it's now trying to challenge its multi-month highs, which is around 285 levels. So looking at the sharp recovery in the last 6 months, almost a V-shaped pattern for Intellect Design, I believe that the stock is just about getting ready for a big breakout on the longer term chart. So even as a short term play, I think 285 plus could be an immediate target for Intellect Design, but I believe that there are higher positional targets which could be due if the stock gives that breakout on the longer term time frame.
Meanwhile, Meanwhile, the stock looks a little tempered in trade. It's down by about 0.5%. That's Intellect Design for you. Sun Pharma is the next stock that we'll be talking about, and it's in focus because Goldman Sachs has downgraded the counter to a sell. They've even cut down the target price to 355 rupees. They say that the spending involved in specialty pharma is something that is going to be a big drag on their profits, and it's going to dent their profits going forward. Profit drivers like the India business, Taro business, even the US generics business, they're all witnessing a softer business momentum at this point of time, which is once again a negative trigger for the company. Profit expectations of about $93 million in sales in FY21 is 50% lower than the Bloomberg consensus. They're entering a period of specialty business under recoveries and Taro core business fluctuations. So these are all combined together are a huge potential headwind for the company going forward, and that's why Goldman has downgraded it to a sell. Let's move right on from Sun Pharma to another stock to keep on your radar. That's Philips Carbon. Heymain, tell us what to expect from this particular stock in terms of its moves going forward.
Well, Karunya, it looks like a sell on bounce. 10 trading sessions almost in a row. We have declined. Once again, similar to what we saw in Radico Khaitan. Short, medium, longer term downtrend. Lower tops, lower bottoms continue. A mild oversold situation on the intraday chart would seem to suggest the possibility of a recovery. Unsustainable one as of now. So it's a sell on bounce.
Okay, that's Philips Carbon down 1.5%. Meanwhile, Tata Motors is also in focus. Soumya, JLR numbers came out a couple of minutes ago. Tell us, how was the performance?
Well, yes, talking about the JLR May retail sales stood at 42,370 units, which were down by over 12.2% compared to last year. In fact, the chief commercial officer of JLR said that although sales dipped at Jaguar this month, we were pleased to see the continued strong response to the award-winning I-Pace, and we also launched the Jaguar E-Pace edition, which generated a high level of interest with customers and commentators alike. And probably that's the reason we are seeing the stock gaining higher by over 1.3% today in trade.
That's right. It's rallying quite a bit today in trade. Meanwhile, HDFC Bank, HDFC Limited is a stock that we're keeping on our radar as well. Nomura has downgraded the stock to neutral. However, at the same time, they've raised the target price to 2,300, implying a meager 5% upside. Now, they say resilient business model to weather current liquidity crisis, rate cycle is becoming favorable as well, and part of the gain will further fund higher liquidity levels. That's the word coming in from Nomura as far as HDFC Limited is concerned. The stock, meanwhile, is trading with some muted gains at this point of time. It's higher by about 0.4%. Next up is Cadila, our stock number 17 that we're focusing on today. And Heymain, tell us, Cadila, what can we expect as part of the stock move?
I think most of the pharma stocks, despite a brief flutter, remain weak. Cadila Healthcare is not an exception, Karunya. We remain weak from a medium to longer term point of view. Having said that, I would have a hold on the stock. Short term, it is oversold. A round of positive divergence is around. The intraday mechanical indicators have signaled crossover buys. Simply put, a dead cat bounce seems to be underway. Hold with a stop loss 240, target of 255.
Okay, 255 is the target price, stop loss 240. Meanwhile, Cadila is down 0.8%. Last stock for the day, Kunal. Perhaps not the last one, but yeah, tell us what are you observing for Crompton, and what are the levels one should keep an eye out for?
Stock which I have picked up, I think, the first time in last so many months. But the reason for picking up Crompton is purely because of the kind of chart patterns the stock is showing on the a longer term time frame. It's nearing a trend line breakout of almost a 1 year sloping downward side. 248 to 250 is where the trend line breakout is on the longer term chart. So if the stock sustains this up move, this could signal an end of almost a 1.5 odd year of correction for the stock price, and that should be extremely positive for Crompton. So it remains to be a very interesting stock in terms of chart patterns. I believe that there is a strong potential of another 15 to 20% upside from current levels.
There you have it, a thumbs up on Crompton Greaves Consumer from Kunal. It's up 2% in trade as well. Moving on to a name from the metals pack, Heymain, Jindal Steel. firm looking quite robust in today's trading session. Tell us, how are you analyzing the chart pattern?
I guess we're due for a recovery of sorts. It looks technically better than few of the stocks we've discussed today, Karunya. Hold stop loss 154, target of 165. It oversold last 6 trading sessions moving. We've been moving sideways, but the intraday mechanical indicators have turned positive. The daily stochastic is giving a crossover buy. Simply put, it's setting the stage for a small bounce. So hold stop loss 154, target 165.
That's Jindal Steel for you, one of the top performers among the metal basket in today's trading session. And Kunal, Heidelberg Cement is on your radar. Tell us, what can we expect going forward?
It's an interesting development because, on one hand, names like Ultratech, ACC, Ambuja Cement, and those whole host of the large cap names, they've corrected in the last 2 weeks after a steady price uptrend. Heidelberg Cement has been trading at the upper end of the trading ranges, trading very close to its all-time high levels as well. It's forming a bullish flag pattern. Look at the last 3 weeks of consolidation. So it just goes to show that the stock has been an outperformer in terms of its peers, purely in terms of price performance, and I believe that the breakout could be in the offing pretty soon, given the fact that the cement basket overall looks extremely strong. So Heidelberg Cement could be bought into at current levels, targets of 222 and stop loss at 202.
All right, with that, I think we're completely out of time. So that's all the stocks we're going to be covering in this edition of Market Fatafat. Thank you so much, Heymen, Kunal, as well as Soumya, for joining in and giving us your inputs for the various stocks to watch out for. With that, it's a goodbye. Thank you for watching.